Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take complex topics, dig through the information, and pull out the key insights for you.
Hoping you get up to speed
Yeah,
fast.
exactly. Today, we're diving into something that has, well, profoundly shaped modern music, the chorus pedal.
hmm
It seems simple, maybe, but its history is full of surprises. Understanding its journey, it's kind of like a shortcut to understanding why so much music sounds the way it does.
That's absolutely the plan today. We're going to
Oh.
unpack the whole evolution of the chorus pedal
Okay.
from its really unexpected roots right up to how it's used everywhere today. We've got a timeline, other sources,
Right.
and the goal is really to shed light on how this one effect creates that illusion of many voices playing in perfect harmony.
That classic sound. So yeah, what should you expect from this deep dive?
Well, we're going chronologically, highlighting the key moments, the gear,
The iconic stuff, yeah.
iconic gear, definitely, and the artists who really made chorus famous, how it went from like a studio trick to something essential on pedal boards everywhere.
So where do we even start before the pedal itself, right?
Yeah, exactly. The story starts even before dedicated chorus effects were really a thing you could buy.
Okay.
Back in the studio, engineers had this technique to make guitar tracks sound bigger, thicker.
Mm-hmm.
They just double them, record the same part again, layer it up.
Ah, okay. Manual chorus, sort of.
Kind of. But the real precursor, the thing that directly inspired the modulation effect we know, that came way earlier, from the Hammond organ.
An organ, not a guitar effect initially. That's interesting.
Yeah, back in like 1935 even, Hammond organs had these vibrato units.
Okay.
And especially when you pair them with those spinning Leslie speakers,
Mm-hmm.
you get this distinct pitch wobble.
Leslie speakers, right. I know those.
Yeah. It wasn't a clean pitch shift, more like a subtle constant detuning. Made the sound richer, more animated.
So that warble, that was the seed.
That was the direct inspiration, absolutely, for all the chorus designs that came later.
Okay, so fast forward a bit. That organ inspiration makes a huge leap into the guitar world. 1975.
1975, yeah. Roland releases the GC120 Jazz Chorus Amplifier. Groundbreaking stuff.
The jazz chorus, still see those around. What made it so pivotal? How did it build on that Hammond idea?
Well, it wasn't just an amp. It had this dimensional space chorus circuit built right in, and it was stereo.
Ah, stereo.
Key difference.
Huge difference. So
Yes,
you got
sir.
these incredibly clean guitar tones, right? But then you could wash them in this super lush, wide modulation.
That rippling stereo wash sound people talk about.
That's the one. It became its signature. Pristine cleans meet this huge, swirling chorus.
And I bet guitarists jumped on that pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Early adopters. I think Jeff Skunk Baxter,
Okay.
Andy Summers from The Police, obviously.
The user, yeah.
And Adrian Belew, too. They really exploited what it could do, adding this whole new dimension, filling up space.
So the JC120 amp creates this massive buzz. Everyone wants that sound. What happens next? BLSS steps in.
Exactly. Roland's sister company, BOSS. They saw the demand. Just 1 year later, 1976, boom. The CE1 Chorus Ensemble pedal. The CE1, the big gray box.
That's the one. The logical step was taking that sought-after amp effect and, putting it in the box you could stomp on.
So this is a massive moment. Taking an amp circuit and putting it, well, under your foot. What was the CE1 actually like?
It built like a tank. Really hefty chassis.
Yeah, they look solid.
And critically, it wasn't a simulation or a smaller version. It housed the exact amp circuitry from the JC120.
Wow, really? The actual circuit.
The actual circuit. It had separate modes for chorus and vibrato,
Yeah.
plus controls for depth, rate, and level.
So pretty versatile.
Very.
Yeah.
And it meant any guitarist could get that specific amp-grade chorus sound with their own rig. It democratized it, really.
Huge. But the CE1, it's pretty big, right? And probably not cheap. Did Boss try to shrink it down?
They did pretty quickly, too. In 1979, they released the CE2, the classic blue BOSS pedal.
Ah, the iconic one. What changed to make it smaller?
They had to make some choices to get it into that compact BOS enclosure. So they took out the vibrato mode, and they removed the stereo outputs. The CE1 had stereo out, the CE2 was mono.
Got it. But what about the core sound? Did it keep the magic?
Yes, and this is key. It kept the same 2 BBD chips. Bucket Brigade devices.
BBDs. Those are the analog delay chips that make the chorus sound, right?
Exactly. They create those short, modulated delays.
Yeah.
So the fundamental sound generation was the same.
And how did the CE2 actually sound compared to the CE1? What made it so popular?
It delivered this gorgeous, shimmering, warm chorus, instantly recognizable. Maybe slightly less intense than the CE1 at some settings, but just incredibly musical.
And being smaller and likely cheaper.
Precisely. It made that high-quality BOSS chorus accessible to way more players. It just exploded, became the chorus pedal. You saw it everywhere.
Right. The most ubiquitous, as they say. So we're hitting the early 80s now. It seems like modulation effects were really taking off.
Oh, absolutely. A golden age. You had innovation happening on two fronts, really. You had these sophisticated rack mount units appearing, mainly for studios, and then you had more and more compact pedals hitting the market.
Let's talk racks first. The Roland SDD 320 Dimension D. That sounds interesting. At late 70s, right?
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s, the Dimension D was legendary, known for its ultra-clean doubling.
Ultra clean doubling. What does that mean exactly? How is it different from regular chorus?
It created this incredibly wide, spacious sound, but it was super subtle, almost transparent. You didn't get that obvious pitch wobble or warble like many choruses.
Less modulation, more width.
Exactly. It just added this beautiful, airy layer without really changing the core tone much. Super high fidelity.
And who is using that kind of thing?
Big names. Nile Rodgers loved it for those super clean, funky rhythm parts.
Of course.
Brian Eno used it for creating those huge atmospheric textures, a studio staple.
Okay, cool. And back on the pedal front, BUSS kept going after the CE2.
They did. In 1985, they came out with something quite different, the DC2 Dimension C.
Dimension C related to the Dimension D rack.
Conceptually, yes, trying to bring that kind of subtle doubling into a pedal. And it had this really unique design. No knobs,
No knobs, just buttons.
just 4 buttons. Each button selected a different preset mode, different fixed combinations of rate and depth.
Weird. So not much tweaking possible.
Not much tweaking, no. But it offered these very precise voices, as some called them. It wasn't a swirling wash.
More like tuned layers.
Yeah, kind of like perfectly tuned doublings rather than that amorphous chorus shimmer. Very
Okay.
specific, very musical sounds.
Interesting. Who went for that?
Guitarists like John Petrucci used it, Reeves Gabriel's, players who wanted that specific character. And besides BSF, other classics started filling up pedal boards too.
Like what?
Oh, the Ibanez CS9 was huge.
The pink one?
That's it. And the BFS CH1 Super Chorus, which came a bit later, and it's still made today. The DoD FX65 Stereo Chorus, too.
Right. And those often had more controls, maybe?
Yeah, often they brought back things like stereo outputs or maybe extra LFO controls.
LFO, right? Low frequency oscillator. Explain that bit for us.
Sure. The LFO is basically the engine driving the modulation in a chorus. It determines how fast the pitch goes up and down, that's the rate, and how much it goes up and down, that's the depth.
Gotcha.
So having more LFO controls, maybe separate rate and depth knobs, just gives you more ability to fine-tune that wobble and shimmer, make it faster, slower, deeper, shallower, more versatile.
Makes sense. Okay, so while BISS is refining things, getting more precise, there's another company doing something different, Electro Harmonics.
Yeah, EHX. They entered the scene with a small clone in 1979, and it was the total opposite of something like the Dimension C.
How so?
Super simple, just one big knob for rate and a little two-way switch for depth. That's it.
Minimalist.
Very. But it wasn't about precision. The small clone had this distinctive, gritty analog charm.
Gritty. How did that come across?
It wasn't pristine like the BFS stuff. It had this almost lo-fi quality, a noticeable, slightly darker, maybe more intense shimmer. It added character, not just clean modulation, a bit of beautiful imperfection.
And that sound, that character, it found a whole new life later on, didn't it?
Massively. It kind of got forgotten for a bit, maybe, but then it just reemerged huge in the grunge scene in the early 90s.
Grunge. Why then?
Well, that gritty analog charm was perfect for the raw, less polished aesthetic of grunge. It wasn't slick.
Right. And the most famous user.
Kurt Cobain famously used a small clone all over Nirvana's stuff. Think Come As You Are, the intro to Smells Like Teen Spirit, that watery guitar sound. That's the small clone.
Iconic. Absolutely iconic sound.
Totally. And EHX followed up later in the 90s with the stereo polychorus. More complex, added flanger and slapback delay modes. Also used heavily by Nirvana, especially on the In Utero album.
So, okay, there's this idea, maybe misconception, that grunge killed off chorus because it was seen as maybe too 80s, too polished.
Yeah, you hear that sometimes, but it's really not accurate. Chorus never vanished. Not at all.
So prove it. Give us some examples from that era.
Well, like we just said, Nirvana was leaning heavily on the small clone right in 1991.
True.
And the same year, 1981, you have Metallica releasing the Black Album. And the intro clean guitar on Enter Sandman. That is absolutely drenched in chorus.
Right. I can hear that now. Big hit, tons of chorus.
Exactly. And it wasn't just guitars. Bass players wanted in too. In 1995, Baw SS brought out the CEB3 bass chorus.
Specifically for bass?
Yep, designed to give bassists that same shimmer and width, but crucially, without sacrificing punch. It had controls to keep the low end tight, while the higher frequencies got the chorus effect. Showed its versatility across the board.
Okay, so chorus definitely survived the 90s. Bringing us more up to date, the 2000s onwards, has there been another wave?
Absolutely. There's been a real chorus renaissance, you could call it,
Yeah.
especially in genres like indie rock, shoegaze, even modern pop is everywhere again.
And are people just using the old classics, or is there new stuff happening? Boutique pedals?
Both. But the boutique builders are really pushing the envelope now.
How so? What kind of new features are we seeing?
You've got companies like Old Blood Noise Endeavors, their reflector pedal is wild, or Beatronics with the Harma Chorus. They're doing things like multi-voice chorus.
Multi-voice, like more than just one doubled sound.
Yeah, creating even thicker, more complex layers, sometimes 3, 4, or more modulated voices. You also see pitch shifting being integrated.
So not just detuning, but actual harmony shifts.
Exactly. Introducing specific intervals, creating unique harmonic textures alongside the chorus. And then there's MIDI control.
MIDI for complex switching.
Yep. Allowing players to sync tempos, change presets on the fly, automate parameters. Really useful for complex live rigs or detailed studio production.
Wow. So the humble chorus has gotten pretty sophisticated.
It really has.
And how are today's artists using all this? Still that subtle shimmer or something else?
You hear it used in all sorts of ways. Artists like Vampire Weekend, Steve Lacy, Marika Hackman, for them, it's often not just an occasional effect. They really weave chorus into every layer of their tones. It's become foundational to their sound again, showing just how relevant and adaptable it still is.
That's amazing. Such a long journey for one effect. So let's just recap this deep dive a bit.
Sure.
We started way back, really, with rotating Leslie speakers on Hammond organs and early studio tricks like doubling tracks.
Right. Then the first dedicated circuits in the JC120 amp, leading to the first stomp box, the BOSS CE1.
Then miniaturization with the CE2, the rise of rack units like the Dimension D, and other pedal classics.
A gritty alternative from EHX finding its place, especially in grunge.
And then surviving the 90s to see this huge renaissance with boutique builders and modern artists pushing it in new directions.
It's really clear, isn't it? The chorus pedal, in its many forms, has just fundamentally transformed guitar tone for nearly 50 years.
It really has. And despite all the variations, analog, digital, simple, complex, MIDI control.
The core magic is still there.
Yeah.
That fundamental idea, the illusion of many voices playing in perfect harmony.
It's fascinating. So next time you're listening to, well, almost any genre of music from the last 50 years, really, try to listen out for it.
Yeah, listen for that specific shimmer, that width, that multi-voice quality.
And maybe think about how this one effect, seemingly simple on the surface, has had such a deep and lasting impact. What do you think makes it so enduringly appealing after all this time? Something to think about.